Hi everyone, as I already said in another video, I'm not a YouTuber, I'm not some BTC guru, and I'm not trying to turn this into some weekly know-it-all crypto show, simply because this whole thing seems so ridiculously simple that I'm honestly starting to think humanity may not even need any more BTC videos at all. Or maybe I'm just a complete idiot. Which, let's be honest, based on how my life and fate have gone so far, is not exactly out of the question. But in this BTC video, I'm going to show you something that you definitely won't find anywhere on the internet. And that's mainly because this is my own homemade, pure brainchild. I already showed a similar approach in an earlier video, but this time I think I managed to take it up another notch. In my analysis, I try to find, graphically, that point which can help determine when it might be ideal to buy in and when it might be worth taking profit. So anyway, let's finally get into it. Tops and bottoms tend to form almost down to the exact day. That's why I started looking for additional reference points to figure out what exactly these could be based on. And even if this established pattern changes, what kind of relationships could still be used to calculate the next move? Once again, I'm using the RSI chart with the usual information. The red vertical lines mark the BTC halving dates, the green lines mark the tops, and the purple line marks the BTC bottom. I drew a burgundy diagonal line starting from the intersection of the RSI upper level and the BTC halving date, and connected it to the intersection of the bottom price and the RSI lower line. I did this in every cycle. Now, if we examine how far the point is where this burgundy line crosses the RSI middle line from the green line marking the top, we get a number. We still have to exclude the first cycle, just like last time, because that first cycle was basically the Wild West of BTC. But based on the rest, in a completely mind-blowing way, every time, 84 days. Now, the chart here is in weekly view for easier readability, so at first glance it may not look perfectly accurate, but if I switched it to daily view, you'd see that it really is right there. I find that pretty shocking. And honestly, I don't think you can really show me a chart like this anywhere on the internet in relation to any other financial system. Right now, this points to October 6th, 2026 as the bottom. A lot of YouTubers are saying that BTC is going to bottom within 1 to 2 weeks, meaning sometime in April 2026, and maybe they'll be right. What I do think is that if BTC falls below 50,000, that's already a level where buying could make a lot of sense. But if I'm right, and these charts really are suggesting what I think they are, then it's possible that an even better opportunity could come in October 2026. What this line of thinking does not tell us by itself, however, is exactly how far BTC might fall. That would already be a different level of wizardry, although maybe I'll make a video about that too someday. But let's keep going because we're not done yet. This principle doesn't just show the buying point, it also shows the exit point, which would be especially useful for me because getting out has somehow never really been my strong suit. Now, let's look at my method for identifying the top. I started the first golden yellow line from the intersection of BTC's first price and the RSI lower line, drew it through the intersection of the halving date and the RSI middle line, and lo and behold, at the intersection with the RSI upper line, the BTC top formed to the exact day. This is the kind of moment where you start to suspect that either you found a very serious correlation or the universe is just messing with you. Of course, one example could still be coincidence. Fine. So let's look at the December 2017 top. Same method, and once again the intersection marks the top exactly to the day. At that point, my mind is genuinely blown. Why didn't I know this back then? The next top prediction is the 2021 top. Here, the method was no longer perfect. It predicted the top 28 days early. Financially, that means about 5 to 10% below the actual peak. But honestly, who cares if instead of making 2,000% in 4 years, you only make 1,900%? In the last cycle, The same system predicted the top 21 days early, roughly 6 to 8% below the peak. I think any investor would gladly accept that, especially if the method could have captured something like 600% plus profit in that cycle, and without having to juggle futures trading in the process. And with that, we arrive at the final phase of the video, which is more of a hypothesis than a firm claim. If the YouTubers were right and we really were reaching the bottom this month, then that would produce a dramatically different formula. Because if I project the line from a bottom forming right now, then it would place BTC's next top in 2030, which would be a pretty major shift. That would no longer be just a simple cycle variation. That's why, at the moment, I don't consider a bottom this month very likely. But if it did happen, then the question becomes, would my method actually be correctly projecting that weird anomaly top forming in 2030? We don't know that yet today. On the other hand, if BTC bottoms sometime around late September 2026 or makes a double or triple bottom with only slight deviation, then that would not break my system. In that case, the expected top could still shift somewhat, depending on the halving timing, of course, but it would land roughly around mid-September 2029. I'll refine that further as we go. So the big question in all of this is whether my method will still hold up this year. Personally, I'm already buying BTC below 50,000, but my main focus is still based on my own method, and for now, September remains the key period for me. Thanks for watching this insanely long video, which may at times have disguised itself as something dangerously intellectual, but is really just a guy drawing lines on a chart.